does face Sherman Avenue. We have the advantage of being very close to the public schools, which are in high demand because they have very good ratings here. And we also have the closeness to the manicured lawns of the flats of the Ardsley Country Club, which constitute the bulk of our view, which is very, very beautiful. I know that he feels that he has added a great deal to the neighborhood. He's improved a little 1,200 square foot house on a minimum piece of land. I don't know whether it even is a quarter of an acre, with a distance between the side, on one side of the house, between the house and the property line of just about the width of a small path. And he considers that he has made an impact on this beautiful neighborhood. He has taken advantage of our neighborhood in order to improve the financial investment that he has made in the house. Now, I have no disagreement, as I said before, with the look of the improved look of the house from the outside, which it is. But our disagreement is with the other part of the real estate, which faces onto the lane, a private lane, which, of course, I assume that Mr. Casella read his plans when he bought the house, and he must know that he owns right out to the middle of that lane. However, that lane, because it is so close to Mr. Saunders and to my property, is very badly affected by this garage. And this is not just hearsay or the feelings of people who've lived here for quite a while. These, I'm repeating to you, the comments that have been made by people who have never even been on my property before, who've gone to the back, pointed to this garage and said, "What is that? It looks like a house." It's a two-story garage. And I have also had people in real estate who happen to be friends of mine, who have come and stood on my backyard. And I have asked, does that garage and the appearance of it affect the value of my property? And the answer has been most emphatically, yes. So we're not talking just tastes and preferences. We're talking real solid facts that involve investments of time and money over many years. And I hope you will keep that in consideration when you go ahead with this. I also, at some point, would like to talk about the doors of the garage that he's presented today, because the garage is only set back 12 feet. All the other garages on the lane are set back 16 feet. It is, I figure, pretty difficult for even a Honda Accord, which I have, to park there and without the danger of being hit by a car trying to back out of this proposed garage into the lane so that it can make it at its exit to Broadway. There isn't enough space even for the cars to turn forward. So that actually it is not just the roof that is an offense, but it is the placement of the building and the size of the building, and not to mention, because this is a historic and architectural review, the historic area, which seems to have been forgotten in Mr. Casella's enthusiasm to put garage, which on paper, which is what we understand was approved, on paper looks attractive. But in fact, is quite a different thing built. So that's really all I have to say. I have to be more emphatic about the architectural deviation and the architectural damage to that part of the lane, as well as to the material, the financial values of our two homes. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with Charlotte. It's in its own right. The garage looks fine. It's the placement of where it is. When I look out my windows, when I used to have a view of open spaces, and we have the chairman of the Conservation Advisory Board, I don't know why you want to build on a nice open space like that, but that was your choice to support Mark and get curious to see it.
Thank you. Are you? I think we had a response.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't tell you how disappointed I am that everybody in the neighborhood doesn't appreciate the effort that we made to comply with the historical aspects of the neighborhood, because we went out of our way. And quite honestly, we were thinking about moving there, but we couldn't afford to. And it's a beautiful neighborhood, a beautiful space. We complied with all of whatever, we had to comply with, and we tried to make it really nice. We went out of our way to make it historically accurate. It cost us a lot more money. I'm very sorry that these guys are disappointed. They have wonderful views out the other side of their house, but if you look at the pictures, the view from the back of Doug's house, even with the garage there, is blocked by vegetation and foliage with the garage there. I mean, we cut down a lot more foliage, so it was even more blocked. So this poetic vision of sunsets from the western sky is, something that, may occur every now and then. But, you have sunrises from the eastern sky, and it's really quite historically accurately done. We went out of our way to do that. I'm sorry you're upset about it. But, build a garage. There's a demand for the space. We decided to. We went through the procedures. We did what we had to do it. And you show up after the fact telling me to take down the roof. That's not appropriate.
Please address the board, not each other.
I think I've said enough already. Thanks very much. I am sorry to have offended anyone, because even Sophie, who's in charge of this whole historical drive, has been very supportive of everything we've done.
Excuse me, Sonia is a friend of mine. I know her very well, and she has the best intentions of the neighborhood in mind. And her house is in a position to see the best side of the garage. She does not see the impact on the other two properties. Incidentally, which the board can only understand by standing in the middle of my backyard and being there and seeing it. Now, I know that Mark tried to match the roof angle, the rooftop, with an adjacent building, which I don't think he understood. It's an antique garage, not an antique garage, but an antique barn that has been there for years, never used as a garage. He should have been copying garages that were one house removed from him, which are facing each other on North Lane and are set back 16 feet, so that they can even have parked cars in front of their garage doors and still have access on the lane. If he had done that, we would have no argument. But he, I think, probably didn't do his homework and see that that was not a garage next door, that was an old barn. Now, Sonia, of course, is very interested in the historic value of the neighborhood, as Mark knows. And I excused Sonia in this instance because I know that looking at that garage that's built from Sonia's vantage point, it doesn't look bad at all. It looks nice. But you have to see the full impact of it on the two adjacent properties. And you know, as we all know, we all put a lot of time, effort, and money into our houses. And when their value is attacked or threatened in any strong way, it brings out the fighting spirit, I should think, in all of us. So you can well understand how we feel. For years, people have been very careful about what they built on that lane. And the neighbors care about their property. So with that, I'm sure I hope Mark realizes, I understand what the roof line that he was copying, but he was copying the wrong one.
Just like to finish by saying, we understand Mark's objectives to build the best house that he could, but that house and the construction of an accessory building to that house shouldn't diminish and destroy the property values of the surrounding neighborhood. And that's what it's done.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Do we have any comments?
Just one clarification. Charlotte mentioned that it's 8 feet, 12 feet from the property
12
line?
feet, it's 12
Because in the
feet
drawing it shows
setback.
8 feet.
12
Setback is
it's-
5.
No, the
No.
setback required is 5 feet, the setback
I'm
in place
talking-
is 8 feet, correct? Neil, is that correct?
You told me yourself, and I've seen it measured. We're talking about the setback.
Whatever it was the accurate setback, Sean. I don't, this is, we're juggling.
I'm just
I mean,
saying that.
but the issue is,
You just don't want it.
the issue is that the plans and the drawings as we reviewed at the time, which while some of the details have changed, so the location of a window or a door, the application, or in this case, the removal of a cupola, those details we still, we've been discussing, we would like properly represented, but those are not the things that you're debating right now. The items that you're concerned with and are the location of the garage on the site.
On site.
And when we looked at this the first time, number one, it's perfectly compliant with the zoning, which I know is not the only criteria for our judgment of projects.
Precisely.
So, but it is an important one, because there is a tremendous amount of work that went into the writing of the zoning code and the sort of proper setbacks. And that zoning code, there are different zoning districts and there are different criteria for the different districts. Anyhow, as far as the setback from the rear, I suppose it could have been a little bit. It could have been a little bit more generous, but it also could have been a little closer. And I think, just given the relationship of the house to the garage, it seemed sensible to us. And when we looked at this in terms of the width of North Lane, it didn't seem as though it was presenting any problems in terms of turning radius for cars. However, it's not, we don't necessarily know that a neighbor parks their car directly behind there, which in all fairness to an applicant is not a fair criteria to subject them to. So, and I understand that you've been there and you've been doing that for a long time. If you had come to us at that time and asked about it, it might have been an easy thing to resolve, to ask the applicant, can you push the house or the garage 5 feet more, 4 feet more? But at this point where we've issued an approval, he's built the house, he's built the garage. I think it's an unfair burden to place on someone to ask them to move that structure because you park there. So that's one. I just want to address another issue about the adjacent house. So in the site plan, it's a 50-foot wide lot, which is maybe not as large as some others, but it's a compliant lot. The garage is placed in the middle, so it's 22.5 feet. There's 13 3/4 feet on either side. Now, the part of the reason that this feels so close to you is because you have a non-compliant side yard setback. And I think that is not necessarily a burden you can place onto another applicant. So earlier this evening, we looked at some houses along Maple Street, and those houses, and I understand this is another street or two over from you, but those houses were all placed on very small lots, and the houses themselves are very close to one another, in such a way that when a neighbor wants to have a second story and have more than a one-bedroom house, which we think is perfectly reasonable, they have to impose someone on their neighbors, and I think those people get along very well, particularly if the house that they're building is done properly. So I just also, you know, I don't want to directly address this in regarding the architect's role, but we don't give any special preference to people who come before us who are part of other boards and the village. And so ultimately, we approve the application, and I take responsibility for approving that application that the architect and the applicant showed to us. And so I don't know if it's necessarily fair to address that to the architect here. Now, regarding the other boards, I'm not sure how that other board works or what role it plays. I don't believe it plays any in the approvals process, nor is it advisory to our board, the zoning board, or well, this wouldn't go before the board of trustees. So I don't know how that's necessarily pertinent to the approvals process here. So if there's anyone that you take issue with, it's this board, because we approved this. We thought that it was a perfectly legitimate application. And I understand that you think this garage could have looked more like 3 houses down. That's not necessarily our criteria. We don't demand that applications be perfect. We demand that they be respectful. We demand that they be code compliant.
Well, see, that's what I don't see about it. It's not respectful.
However, it is, because if it were placed on, what would you like? You'd like it to be on the neighbor's side?
One story, that's it. We're fine with the garage. Charlotte and I.
But you just said that you're fine with the garage. The problem is the placement.
No, the problem is that
You just said that
the
there's-
10-foot storage space on the Charlotte.
No, you
has
said that your last closing argument was, I'm okay with the garage, I'm okay with the size, I'm not okay with the placement. Now we talk about
I
that.
didn't say anything about the placement.
Well,
That wasn't me.
Fine, very well. We're not,
But
but we believe that the form of this garage is in keeping with the forms of the houses of the neighborhood. And if you locked it off and you had a flat roof, you'd have all the other neighbors here saying, we don't like flat roofs, they don't fit with our neighborhood. And so I don't believe that this is incongruent with the neighborhood. The roof isn't, the placement in the plan isn't, and so it's not that I don't empathize with the closeness of that. However, it's a good solution to the problem at hand.
It's very simple that none of the other garages block all of the windows on the side of a house in that lane. It's just not.
It's
that.
also
But
not the
you-
case that the
but
other
you
houses
live in
have a what looks like a 3 or 4, or I don't know, a side yard setback.
And you live in on a corner lot. You have like multiple exposures.
We
It's a
have multiple exposures, but that's like
But
saying
you live in a
throw
corner.
my left arm and I still have my right arm.
and the placement and regarding the placement, I think that it's the correct one, because create corridors of view from Belden towards the east and the west, and from the west to the east. It's a perfect location, I think.
Corridors of view for who? There
A
are no
view
other
of the
houses in
street,
that.
the street views. I walk the street, I walk the site, I walk the service road. It's a service road, it's not a street.
But I'm trying to
And
understand.
we are all concerned about the view of your kitchen, and I agree it's not the
The
best.
kitchen, the bedrooms, the dining room, I mean.
I don't know the bedroom or the bathroom. You didn't buy the next door property. You bought your property with with the views. You can't control all the views.
Yes, I know. But
And
we
this has
have-
nothing to do with historic appropriateness, because the service road and the volume and the massing of this garage
does
is
have
appropriate.
everything. seriously, it does have a lot to do with historic appropriateness.
It
because
is
it's been that
appropriate.
way for 79 years, not blocked
Well,
until
look, it's
the
a,
developer bought the house.
But historical appropriateness does not preclude one from building new structures on a property.
And precisely, but there was one major thing that this board did not do.
Okay.
And that is, we did not go out to the site.
I went
That is not true.
You went out after the site.
twice. No, true. I walked the street.
I was met you, as recall.
I was there twice. I was there yesterday. I was there previous time, and I was there like on the weekend. I walk on the street. I see if this volume is visible.
Before this was approved,
Correct.
that is
I
not, that is not what you led me to
look.
do.
I walk my dog every other day over there.
I'm not going to go into arguments about how many times you've been walking.
But I know the service road very well. I know the service Charlotte, I know the service road very well. I know the corner very well. It didn't occur to me that this is an issue. It is an issue because obstructs a couple of windows, to Mr. Sanchez, and I'm sympathetic to that. But again,
No, gentlemen, if Mr. Porcella had done, this could be all unnecessary. If he had done the neighborly and proper and smart thing before he built, had gone each neighbor whom he knew would be represented, and gone over the plans with us, before he even set the cement blocks
unfortunately,
for-
we can't.
if he had done.
We can enforce them.
We know that we are late. I was in Maine, at my home in Maine, and Doug was here, but neither one of us got the certified letters from the board meeting at which this thing was approved. So I'm fully aware that we're late, but it would be completely idiotic and untrue to truth for me not to be here and tell you that this is a gross mistake. And if Mark thinks he's improved the neighborhood, he's deluded. The neighborhood is not, he's taken this little house, 1,200 square feet, on a small plot of land, next to large houses, 2 and 3 times.
No, we understand that. I understand that part.
I'm trying to tell you that that's the historical part that is being worked on. Not from Walker Place to Washington, but from Walker Place to Broadway. And if that's all it took, and I have been under the impression from talking with you, Mr. Rosenkrantz, that nobody came out to look at it from the board before it was up for approval. And that's when you should have, as Stephen Tilley has informed us, that's the rational way to do it, to stand in the spot that the.
Yes, I did not go out there, and very often I do not, and that is how I work as a professional. It is just I analyze remotely and abstractly, and that's one of the things that I do, and I know that I do it well. And this is an instance where
You did not come.
no, I did not come. But it's not a requirement for me to do so.
Well, that's one
Not
way.
when I believe that it is cut and dry, as I believe this was, and as I still do. I don't believe that I think that it's perfectly legitimate for him to have built a garage where he did. I wish that you had seen this beforehand, but you didn't. We issued an approval for this.
Well, I can.
So did the planning board.
If I may.
And-
Oh, has it been before the planning board?
This didn't go for, don't they have to do, no, okay. Well, okay, so no planning board.
But I have no contentions with Mark's right to have a garage there. It is what he built there.
I understand that.
And the size of it, and in the hallway when we left our last meeting that this was discussed at, he said he would take the roof down if we paid him $30,000.
I did not say that.
You
You did.
did, Mark.
I did not.
You
You
did.
said it
You
was.
said, what are the costs
Okay, I'm sorry that this is not the forum for you to argue with one another. We've heard your comments, we've heard the applicant's comments. I do not see this going any further by continuing this conversation. I would like to vote on this because I feel you have one very strong opinion, the applicant has another. This board would like to finalize this.
All right, well, then I would like to say one thing. I would like to make a proposal, and that is that there be a stay put on
Say it
the
again?
presentation that has been made by Mark and,
I couldn't hear what you said before.
Mr. Pasquale, a stay put on it until Mark comes forward with a plan to make that garage fit with the rest of the garages on the lane. That's my recommendation to the board, that you put a stay on any improvement until there's some effort made to make that be right. And I'm sorry for Mark in this instance, because I think that if he had thought it through and covered this with us beforehand, we would have had none of this.
I don't think that's within our purview to put a stay on it.
No.
This has already been approved.
Yeah.
You're here to approve the
Changes. I know. I think that's where that, we're not taking any more comments from anyone on this application. I just want to say this, we're not here to approve or deny the garage. We're here to approve or deny a minor change to the garage. And I think that's where this conversation has gone off the rails to some degree, because that process, despite your frustration, already happened. That has already occurred. And so if there are issues, some of the issues that were raised at the last meeting regarding the doors, I think we took into consideration, we made a recommendation, that recommendation was followed. And really that's the degree of detail that we're looking at here, not whether the garage is a certain height or where it's placed on the site. And so we're not voting on that. We're not approving or denying that component. That component has already been approved. And so what we're voting on is the change in the doors, the change in the details, the change in the windows. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight.
Where we raise the issue of the violation of the code of ethics, and conflict of interest.
I'm sorry, you can take that up with the building department with, are there any more comments from board members?
As long as we have a consistent set of drawings that matches the drawing with the reality, I'm willing to approve it.
I am too. I think that,
And also the double checking the setback, if it's 8 feet, Charlotte claims that it's 12 feet, also has to be reflected in the drawings.
do we need a revised drawing
We'll get
for
a
this?
survey.
Pardon?
We'll get a survey.
We get a survey.
We'll have to supply a survey. I believe they submitted a as-built foundation survey right to this.
Okay.
It should be in file.
So we have to continue this for an additional survey?
Approve the change of the dormer, the gable
Yeah.
to the other side, and the rest will be procedural through the building department.
Okay. Then I make a motion to approve the changes to the door, the gable, the window, contingent upon the update to this drawing to properly reflect the photographs and the confirmation of the survey for the rear yard setback. Do I have a second? Yeah, your second?
Yeah.
Unanimous. Right.
I just like to, one comment, Mr. Patino, you are invited to come
Thank you. No one here from 75 Main. We'll continue that to the next application.
It's off the
It should
agenda.
have, it got amended. It was
It's off the-
Oh,
withdrawn.
withdrawn, okay. 72 Florence Avenue.
Good evening. My name is Miles Camper-Shakash, here with Michael Lewis Architects, with a modest proposal for 2 decks on the back of 72 Florence Avenue. I'd like to start by pointing out the existing residence, and then the red arrows are going to show you 5 sites of existing vinyl railings on both decks and steps. And the decks that we are proposing in 72 Florence have vinyl railing. We just wanted to show the precedence in the neighborhood. So we'll go in order now. Start at 60 Florence, which is 2 houses up. And then 66, the front steps. This is 68 with the vinyl fence. And this is 72 Florence, the property in question. 2-family home, you're only seeing a portion of it in this photograph. And then lastly, 77 Florence with a vinyl deck on the back. And 79, these stairs as well. Finally, we arrive at 72 Florence with the site plan, and I believe you have this sheet in front of you, showing the existing decks and a demolition plan of those decks. The existing elevations showing the demolition plan, and then the proposed elevation showing the new decks.
Pretty clear.
I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
The existing side southeast elevation with the stair on the wrong side of the setback line, that's an existing stair. That's staying in place, and
Correct.
You're not touching that
No
wall.
elevation proposed.
okay. That's fine with me. Looks fine. Motion to approve this as submitted.
Second?
Dale seconds, unanimous, thank you. Thank you. Yes, on the, no, they're, yeah, we're gonna continue.
Good evening, Brandon Tapney, of Tapney Pro Construction. Thank you for postponing our application. I'm glad that we came this far, and it seems that the last remaining item is the siding. Is that the general agreement? Okay, our homeowner would like to make a statement.
Yeah, can you take the mic, introduce yourself?
Good evening, I'm Tim Rothman, the potential owner of this house. I want to thank you for all the changes you guys have suggested. It has taken the house to a different level and does look very nice. Not only am I a homeowner, but I'm also a realtor of 15 years. I've seen thousands of houses, and I want to make a point that to, you know, make good with what my neighbors want and to make it fit into the neighborhood. But, I've never, into what you were saying, you know, I don't think that the house, whether it's made of vinyl siding or hardy plank, will negatively affect the cost, the price, the value of the neighborhood or the only neighbor house that I have, which is 91 Beachdale. So his house was purchased maybe 18 to 24 months ago at the same price as my house. And his house is 2,000 square feet larger. He's on an acre and a half of land on 1.9. So already the fact that my house was purchased for a larger sum than his house has already increased the value of his house. So I'm just trying to make a statement that I think the house is phenomenal the way it is. We're going to do everything we can to preserve the neighborhood and preserve the value of the houses. Like I said, I'm not going to build something that will deteriorate the value of the houses. So if that's what we need to do.
Just, my last comment is just as a conversation more than anything. We all in agreement that vinyl is a cheaper material.
Correct. And it can make it straight, too.
So is hardy plank.
Yes.
We are all in agreement that hardy plank is a better material by default. So, and we are in agreement that you are in a good neighborhood.
Correct.
I don't know the value of your house, but let's say that to have a house of that caliber, of that size, with a low-class material will be a miss. Would you agree?
I would agree a
Like,
house,
just for consistency of values.
again, I've never seen a house being praised differently if it was made of vinyl or hardy plank.
I find that
Tough to do.
very hard to believe.
Okay.
It's like
But-
if you go to a master bathroom with porcelain tiles or stone.
Correct.
You have stone, which is a better material than porcelain.
Correct.
Even they are like both maintenance free. Would
Correct.
you agree?
Correct.
So that's the argument. The second thing I want to say, and with that I conclude, is the reason we're trying to push for a better material is for your interest as well. Not for only for the neighborhood, it's for a better house for you.
So if we switch to hardy plank, we get the approvals tonight.
What again?
If we switch this to hardy plank, we get the approvals tonight.
I would say yes.
It's my last concern for the house.
So,
Could I ask one question? What was the discussion about the windows?
Oh,
well,
there's
there
only
was
two
this
windows
two-
that we're matching.
The
increases
other
the
side
proportion.
elevation.
That's it. I
Have
have,
you noted that on your plan?
yes.
We can, although I think Brandon Zappi took note of it. We'll put it on a drawing. Can you flip to this other side elevation? The dormer above the garage, which is on the upper left.
it can be.
It was just to extend those windows up taller so they were
To match the ones on the first floor?
essentially, so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
everything's about the same size. We
Yeah.
understand that there's gonna be a little discrepancy, but that they not be so.
Right,
In
we'll just
contrast.
use these windows
Correct.
here, wherever height-wise that they would fit.
That would be correct.
So I guess under duress, I can't reach my wife, but I will change that if it's gonna get us approved and get us in the ground.
You have it?
Motion to approve this application with the following stipulations. The windows on the dormer above the garage be extended.
Right side
The
elevation.
right side elevation be extended and match the size and proportion of the other windows on that elevation. The material be changed to a hardy plank from a vinyl siding. Any other? I have a second? Your second's unanimous.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
We have minutes from March 13th, 2017.
I'm okay with all.
issues with these.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve
Second.
minutes of the 13th of 17. Dale seconds.
Very good.
Unanimous. I was not present, and so we will not have a quorum for the 27th.
Oh, it's a quorum of two, right?
No, it's a quorum over the entire board.
Okay, so the only thing that if you want to correct, I see on page, when we vote next time, on page 4, application number 8, it says that I recused myself when I made the motion to approve, so it should be an A, aye. Right?
You're looking at the 9. Same.
No, that one is okay. I recused myself from this one.
Okay.
Okay.
You say,
Huh?
item 8,
Yeah, here it is.
47? Okay.
All right.
Motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
Yeah, seconds. Unanimous. Meeting adjourned.